Alright guys, crypto market update. Let's get straight into it. We'll start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of done or is in the process of doing what we expected it to do. So SFP this hourly market structure high, and then began a rotation and is still in the process of rotating all the way back down to the swing low. There's also liquidity right above the swing low. There was demand here, which I have removed because it has been pretty much ran through. So this would have been demand. Yeah, it would have been like that. So we're clearly showing signs of weakness here. So just expect Bitcoin to go lower. Expect to reach, in the short term, I'd say, to reach this 57k mark. And then yeah, it will, once it does hit this 57k mark, it will be very, very interesting as to how it reacts from it. Does it keep going lower? Does it aggressively break structure back up? We don't know. We can only be patient and look at the confirmations that we get. In terms of supply here, there's no real supply here. As per se, there is, this has been mitigated, so yeah. At least from like locally in this move down, it hasn't really left much supply. Yeah. Bitcoin hasn't necessarily left a lot of supply. Yeah, and we are still trending in a bearish direction, so just be patient there and expect alts to go lower as well, given Bitcoin is also expected to go lower, at least for now. Let's have a look at USDT dominance. It was forming a distribution range last time we checked. Let's see where this is at. And yeah, so far, like, it's still kind of doing its thing. It's made that first deviation. We've obviously accumulated here at the bottom and locally in there as well. And then from here, yeah. It still is bullish on the hourly. Sorry, it still is bullish on the 4 hourly. On the hourly. Yeah, it did break bearish structure. So it is bearish. That's the low. That is the, yeah, that's technically the market structure high on the hourly, and it's, no, my bad, I'm looking at the 45 minute here. All right, so on the hourly, is it still bullish? Yes. That's the market structure low on the hourly, not even close to it. However, it kind of has formed that like naked low right here, which is something to just be mindful of. Well, as a matter of fact, it's not necessarily a naked low because price has taken it out. So yeah, like there is some liquidity here, but other than that, I miscalculated that. That low has been, you can kind of say this isn't a liquidity low, but yeah, the fact that this has already taken this previous low, it kind of goes to show that price has kind of done what it's had to do. And also we might be leaving some demand in the meantime. Even if we were actually, maybe there would have been something overlapping here, but then this would have been mitigated, so not a whole lot of demand there. But yeah, so far, like, still bullish for USDT, still bearish for Bitcoin, so overall expect still bearish for alts. That is the play. ETH has obviously done its first deviation and has bounced. Will it reclaim the range? I'm not too sure. You got to realize that the overall context of the altcoin market and Bitcoin as well is bearish. So there's no real reason for ETH to just randomly like keep going higher. Yes, it might reclaim the range, Maybe if we're lucky, we might get a bounce in here. I don't think we will, but it seems a bit too far-fetched. But yeah, I have a feeling ETH is just going to do something where it just kind of rotates back down, and this whole high time frame range kind of becomes invalidated. And I can expect us to see lower. Yeah, in ETH as well. In terms of demand, there might be something there. Let me just double check the lower time frames as we normally do. Yeah, that's honestly very clean structured demand. So should we fail to hold that level? Should we fail to hold that level, this is the next demand I am interested in, just around that $1,350 mark, 1352 to be precise. So yeah, if we fail this range here, then expect us to go lower to this 1352 point. Other than that, not much more that can be done. Yeah, all right, let's keep the ball rolling. Pepe, same thing, range here, invalid, not interested. I'm expecting Pepe to go lower. Yeah, nothing really to look out for there. Sui. Has yeah, it kind of invalidated this distribution model as well, or the distribution model that was potentially getting formed. So we are not interested in that either. And now we're just in like a kind of awkward ranging environment, if you will. There's a lot of liquidity below, so definitely expect this to get taken. Like you have like quadruple lows here. So just be aware of that. It's probably close to getting swept. There's some demand here on the 45, which I'm not necessarily too sure what to think of it. Like it's grabbed the low to its left, but like the context is a bearish context, so technically speaking, you're expecting lower. So I don't really expect the demand to be respected. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot. Yeah, this has all been grabbed. That's fine. So yeah, just keep an eye for that liquidity. No real distributions forming here, so let's move on to the next. And then there's not even real supply here that you could like maybe like expect a little bounce from. There's just just not a whole lot. And then yeah, we had this Tau model, which was never really a proper model. So we can move on there. We've kind of left some demand here, but it's not nice because we've also mitigated it here, as you can see, through those wicks. So if anything, there might be some more local demand in here, but it's not necessarily anything of interest to us. Right there. Awesome. Yeah, overall tau, I'm just expecting lower. And we have that little distribution up top. But yeah, not a whole lot more I'm expecting tau to do. It's probably going to leave some supply in the meantime, potentially. Other than that, let's move on. Ton. We've got equal lows at right there as well. So more liquidity there that's going to get taken. To be fair, there's no real extreme liquidity here because this is not extreme liquidity because it's just grabbed everything here and left behind a massive, massive imbalance behind it. So if anything, you could say this is just the one move and then this is kind of the grabbing supply. So I would technically have it like this. It's still a Model 2, but the taps are just not necessarily what you think they are. It would be like this. And we've actually also grabbed liquidity there. Supply right there. To the T this one was. Look at that, perfect. Perfect tap. Really lovely there. And yeah, I then expect this to complete itself. Not a whole lot I am interested in doing for Litecoin for Ton at the moment. Litecoin invalidated its distribution. It's kind of just awkwardly moving around at the moment. Not really too interested in it. Same thing, it's kind of just forming that first deviation of an accumulation model which was created by a distribution. I'm just going to keep the ball rolling here. Nothing is of interest for me thus far. Doge. Same thing, the potential distribution model here, invalidated. Some demand here, just not as... It's not as powerful demand as we'd want, but it is demand. So maybe a local bounce in there. But yeah, as of right now for Doge, I'm not too interested in the price action. So I will keep it moving. Virtual as well. We've kind of distributed there. 1, 2, maybe 3 tap there. Leaving behind supply, that's kind of valid. Very local model, but yeah, it did what it had to do to hit the range low. And now we're kind of just awkwardly ranging. So nothing I'm really too interested in virtual either. Asta, same thing. We had that compression and we've ripped out of that compression. And then, as I have said in my previous crypto market check, that we are expecting a move down into this demand. I don't expect Asta to go higher, at least for now. I expect us to hit this 58k level. So yeah, we will see what happens there. Maybe a little scalp like that. We'll see. I will set my alerts just in case. Alright, let's have a look at render. Render, same thing. We had a somewhat of a compression and we've kind of come out of that to the downside as well. We are forming an interesting potential accumulation. I wouldn't necessarily get too carried away with it. You technically have to use this as extreme liquidity. It's not necessarily the greatest POI, but it's kind of all you've got. And once again, this is counter context, so you would need a A++ return to zone coming into this extreme liquidity POI if you were to ever take this as a long. Or if that whatever supply was in here has been mitigated. So yeah, let's just see what happens, I guess. The one thing I don't like about this is that how this has already swept everything here, and this has swept everything to its left here. So there's no real liquidity, at least in this local price action here. There's no liquidity to be grabbed below us, which kind of puts this little local accumulation to a potential play. And also the fact that there is supply above, but yeah, the fact that there's no, at least from this local price action here, there's no much more reason for price to go lower because it's just continued to take out liquidity then. And a local accumulation here, as I said, could be at play. Like we've swept this. And then we've swept this. And then if we look even lower, yeah, there is a nice return to zone there, but I feel like price might want to mitigate some of this supply first. So yeah, we could present ourselves with a potential counter contest accumulation long, which we can take all the way into this supply and then take all the way back down. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, render could be interesting, so we will monitor that for now. Move that towards the top as well. Hype. Hype is slowly making its way back into this mega demand zone. Not a whole lot I'm interested in from Hype at the moment. Whatever supply was left here in the moment, it's been mitigated, as you can see on the lower time frame. Yeah, that's fine. So not really too interested in the price action on Hype. Similar story to Pump by the looks of it. Yeah, very similar story. We've deviated this quite heavily and now we have actually reclaimed the range, so we'll see what happens. Poster reclaimment of range. Yeah, just be patient and see what price starts to do. Not a whole lot I'm interested in at the moment. with similar story. So we've deviated the range here. We have supply above. There's no real reason for price to go any lower. There really isn't. We could be at a potential play from a local long here, which I am willing to potentially look into. Very local accumulation model right here. Yeah, let's just see what POIs we have. There is demand below, so there is the 45-minute OBF, just something to be wary of. And then in terms of a third tap POI here, I have a feeling it might be this right there. This has technically been mitigated. The third tap POIs here aren't the greatest, to be completely honest. You can say this. This is pretty much the only thing to a third tap POI that I will kind of allow. So we'll see what price does here. And yeah, no real demand here. We have this very refined 1 minute OBIF. So that'll be interesting to see if it gets mitigated. Just because it's so low into this deviation, it might not necessarily get mitigated. But yeah, and then in terms of the range itself, is there much supply that we need to be careful of? Yeah, I would definitely be aware of the supply just here. Yeah, definitely be aware of the supply here. To be fair, there is quite a bit of supply. You've even got that has been mitigated, and then you have this 5 minute OBIF right there as well. So there's a few things. The return to zone isn't as pristine as what we thought it was, but there's just like not much. There's not much more room for WIF to go lower. Like you can, but I just don't see the point of it going much lower. So yeah, for now we'll monitor how this liquidity gets taken out, if it does, and then the demand as well below it. So we will see what happens there. Awesome. Let's have a look at cake. Respected demand beautifully. Same thing, we are in the deviation in the first. We've just deviated that first tap once, and now we are well into reclaiming the zone or the range. And we're kind of just leaving demand after demand here. Like, yeah, you've got this more refined area right there. So not a lot to really monitor right now. For cake, I'll get back to cake. I just want to see what gold's doing. I didn't check gold yesterday. So it could be kind of doing anything really. Alright, it's worth this liquidity. Interesting. Probably go lower. Okay, wait, BNB. The BNB price action. Well, we've grabbed everything here that we could have grabbed. There is some liquidity here. Just something to pay attention to. Do I expect lower for BNB? Yeah. Especially if we've left some heavy supply. So we'll see what this looks like on the lower time frames. It has been mitigated on the lower time frame, but then as we've done before, we can leave this mark here to indicate where the rest of the inefficiency is. And at the moment, not a whole lot I'm interested in from a local perspective here in BNB. Like every demand here has kind of been mitigated. We probably have left some supply up here. Not even really. You've kind of got this as an overlapping OBIF. It's not necessarily the cleanest, but it is there. Let's have another look. Yeah, as I said, it's not necessarily the cleanest, but you can kind of just use it. Yeah, that is kind of fine. But other than that, for BNB, not a whole lot I am interested in. Link. Very similar story by the looks of it. I just expect lower. We have demand right here. There is demand in here. Which, technically speaking, is a valid extreme demand. So we'll see how price approaches this POI. And there is probably extreme liquidity below as well. And there is. So far the model is pretty clean in terms of where the POIs are, which is something I do like. We'll leave link as is. See what it continues to do. We'll move that up a little bit. Let's have a look at quant. I think that distribution that we took, yeah, there it was. And yeah, overall with quant, I'm still expecting us to move towards this demand. That remains the plan. That very much remains the plan. Not a whole lot I'm interested in here. Yeah. Yeah. Leaving quant as is. There is some supply here. It's not necessarily that enticing, but it is supply. Context here is lower for quant. XMR. Not doing a whole lot here. It's also looking to potentially deviate its first tap of this higher time frame accumulation looking like range. Yeah, not interested in the price action there. Sol is trying to reclaim this range. It's really trying. Wouldn't necessarily say it's working at the moment, but it's trying. It's the effort that counts, guys. It's the effort that counts. Yeah. Nothing interesting for Sol. It's just kind of tried reclaiming this range. Maybe a little distribution model was confirmed here. Although not the cleanest. The tap. Yeah, the third tap was quite well below the, you know. Yeah, it's not the cleanest distribution range, but Sol's price action just as a whole at the moment isn't interesting. XRP's very damn close to it. XRP has also reclaimed its range. Was like kind of just. Demand here has been mitigated. There is 45-minute demand below. Is there an hour? No. So you kind of just have that. On the 45, there's 30 as well. This is as extreme demand as you can get from a deviation. Very extreme. Alright, Filecoin, what's it saying? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot at all. Maybe depending on how we come back here, we might catch a distribution. Maybe. I would not necessarily count on it. But this is the plan for Filecoin. Catch a distribution that goes lower. Yeah. The return to zone sell side wise looks decent. Okay, that looks fine. Liquidity right there as well. Equal lows. And yeah, crypto right now, guys, like, get it through your heads. Crypto is in a great space for shorts. So you can take like nice looking models with quite a bit of confidence. Now obviously it's all random, so whether it happens or it doesn't, that's, you'll never know. But I mean, you'll know after. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's just because the setup is nice and the context is there doesn't necessarily mean it will play out. The setups don't have to play out, but there are high chances of these playing out just because of the context. So yeah, well, as much as Filecoin's far from a distribution model at the moment, I'll still move this up higher. And then XLM, I'm not really interested at the moment. Maybe this becomes an accumulation model. We'll see. The buy side liquidity is really nice. So yeah, we'll see what XLM does. And other than that, nothing else is of interest to me for this coin. And then Aave, not interesting either. That can go. Yeah, we're just looking to hit this demand zone, which we've been eyeing for a while. So with Aave, I don't expect anything but us to start mitigating this demand zone. Maybe we catch a little accumulation here. Right on the demand zone, that can always be possible, so we will see. Yeah, and that is kind of it for crypto, guys. We've got Bitcoin Cash, which hasn't really done much as of late. Obviously, that it completed that mega distribution. Yeah, not a lot. But yeah, that's it for crypto, guys. So just remember, take in the context of the overall market. Bitcoin is expected lower. USDT is expected to go higher. This 57k level is still very much a crucial POI to look out for, depending on if we break or if we continue to go lower. Then I honestly expect us to go all the way down to around this 42, 43, 44k POI. So yeah, how this 3-day OBIF, how price respects this 3-day OBIF is going to be very, very crucial with Bitcoin. Otherwise, yeah, you can obviously expect alt to go lower. If we don't respect this level, then USDT as well, expect the opposite. So we're still bullish, so we can, as much as we have just deviated this range once, we can just do something like this and just continue going higher and invalidating this range completely, which would mean alts continue to go lower. So yeah, just look at the market for what it currently is, and look trade confirmation. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all later tonight with the Forex update. So yeah, thank you for your time, and I will see you all soon. Peace.